Welcome back to part 3. Let's get on to the painting. Alright, we're getting there. So on to proper painting. I have a cheap craft acrylic silver, but it's really bright. So I've just dulled that down with a bit of black. And it makes a nice sort of steel colour. And I do a heavy dry brush of this over the entire model. And then wait for that to dry and do a second dry brush, mainly on specific areas which just looked like they could do with a bit more of a metal finish. This bit of painting was a bit fiddly. I didn't want to go over any of the metal bits that I wanted to leave as sort of bare metal, but I go in with a light blue. I've just mixed blue and white, my cheap acrylics, and I paint all the panels, just not the diagonal braces or squares in the center of the main sections, and then any tiles which don't have like the mesh or other bits and pieces on, I paint those this color as well. And it's quite watered down, so I do 2 coats of this. Just for a bit more colour, I wanted to paint those exposed pipes in the side wall, just different colours. So I do 1 red, 1 green, 1 blue, which initially I paint white, but I go over with sort of dark blue. And then 1 I tried to do yellow, but it doesn't really work out, so I paint that orange in the end. Just, you know, a bit more visual interest. Apologies again, I have a few dodgy camera angles, so you can't see everything I do on this part. But these are the little sections in between the main floors and the body of the tower. Just those little bits of chipboard we added, you know, way back in the build. Now I paint all of these just black, and these eventually will be warning stripes, you know, the yellow and black stripes. But I'm just preparing that now. Alright, at this point I realised I wanted the blue to be a little bit lighter. So I mixed up again blue and white paint, but made, you know, added a lot more white. And I watered this down heavily. It's almost a glaze, and I just went over the tiles and the tower sections, mainly focusing on the center of each panel. I was trying to get it to sort of fade out to darker, you know, in at the edges. This worked okay. I did have to do a few coats and mess around and water down the paint even more, but in the end this was actually kind of pointless because I put over a black wash and it kind of gets rid of a lot of those blends I've just done. But hey ho. This is the first time I've ever used masking tape on one of my builds. I mask around those black sections we painted earlier in preparation for these warning stripes. You know, you have to have these on Necromunda scenery, I think. Anyway, yeah, I mask these off, and I'm actually using. Uh, it's actually medical tape, but I liked the size, honestly, and it's all I had on hand, except for really wide masking tape, and I didn't want to have to cut that down. So anyway, I mask around all those black bits, and then do diagonal lines, trying to keep the spacing exact, or as exact as I could. So I go around all that, and I also mask off kind of, it's just a line on two of the tiles on the first floor. And then use a sponge, white paint, sponge in all those areas, and then I wait for that to dry and go back onto the warning stripes and do a bright yellow over that white. Wow, I didn't know this would be quite this satisfying, but peeling off that masking tape and seeing those bright yellow stripes on the black, beautiful. Um, the tape did peel off some tiny specks of the black paint, so I just go back in, you know, with the black paint and touch those up. And I also touch up a couple of the yellow lines, which were a tiny bit too wide. But overall, I think that effect looked really nice. The yellow is very bright at the moment, but we dull that down later. Time to wash this beast. Alright, I've made up some black wash, or dirty black wash. Just black acrylic, bit of dark brown, a load of water, and a bit of dish soap. And you've just got to mix this to the right consistency. You can tell when you put it up. You can use it on some test bit of whatever, just to see how it flows and either add more water or add more paint. But anyway, I slather this over the entire thing. Then I realised I didn't want the blue panels to be quite so dark, so I just go in with a tissue and dab off some of that black wash, especially towards the centres of all the blue bits. And then I actually wet the tissue and sort of scrub it around a bit. But I get a nice effect in the end. My favourite bit, honestly, rust. Um, Kitchen sponge, just a little bit of that. Bit of burnt umber or dark brown paint. I sponge this on to anywhere I think rust would have built up. And then I go in, wait for that to dry, and then go in with some bright orange, and just do a little bit, especially on edges. The same way with the sponge, just where I've done the brown already. I love this effect. Alrighty, just about there. As a final little bit, I just come in with some brown ink and just do some stains from different areas where I think, the rust would have flowed down or dirt would have flowed down. So from the tops of different sections, and then on some of the tiles as well. I just do a bit in the corners and other bits and pieces. So that's my build done. I'll show some static images after this so you can have a look. And again, if you've liked anything in this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. It will definitely help me out. And also, any comments are appreciated, and I will try and respond to everyone. Alright, see you in the next video.